Gugesh Ding, round 13. Huge game for us. And no engines were used. Also, I'm covering up the result. A lot of people have been like, hey, Baus, don't tell us the result. We want to know later. We want to see it later. We just want to experience the game as it was. So that's how we're doing it. I put a little piece of cardboard over the result there. All right, here we go. E4. French. Now, very happy for Gukesh that he played the French. Unhappy that he then went for this weird thing again. I feel like there's so many interesting opportunities for white to play against the French, especially in his style where he can just create a weird situation from the opening. But this line, it's weird. It's weird. And I think also it's hard to play for white. Okay, so A3, a weird move. Bishop E7, the first big tank from Ding. What are we going to see in this game that we see every single time? We're going to see Ding tanking. Tanking. By the way, we had some questions about tanking. Apparently, it's a word when we say both in poker and chess. Some people think it's weird, but in poker and chess, we just mean thinking forever. Okay, Bishop E3, weird. Okay, and there might have been some correspondence games here, but the Dojo database was like, we're already in new territory by move 8. Now, the good news for Gukesh is that, Ding's going to think forever about his moves. Now, there were a variety of plans here for black. A5, castles, maybe even F6, Queen B6. All of these were possible. And interestingly, this was my first intuition for black, but I did have a concern. And that was, after this, the lady is coming to G4, and it's scary when the lady comes to G4. So this is what happens, CD, CD, knight C4. Okay, and white now, the whole reason, by the way, that this was controversial for white, this opening, with A3, C3, knight CE2, is you're down in development. But now what white gets is they get to take on C4 and say, oh, I'm developing some. D takes C4, and now a move that I did not understand. It was a real full no non comprende here. Gukesh seems to be out of his book, okay, because he's thinking. And for me, the whole reason I was unhappy about knight b6 is I felt like queen g4, castles, knight f3. It looks like maybe it could be dangerous for us. Now, to be stressed, maybe black is fine with a move like f6 or even f5. But if I was going to be worried as black, this would be the situazione where I'd be like, maybe feel a little bit funky. And the dynamic here, this is going to be the same dynamic in the game, is how do we evaluate now this unopposed bishop on c8? It's going to be the question of the game, right? Is it going to become active or not? If it becomes active, things going to be a beast, all right? Now, knight ge2 was played. Oh, it looks ugly. It looks really nasty and ugly. And it was really hard for us, myself maybe in particular, to get a handle on just exactly what the intentions are. Because in general, white wants to play on the king side, and a move like queen g4 would really suggest itself. But knight ge2, where are you going, bud? Okay, black can do a variety of things. To my mind, castles makes the most sense. We might consider playing f6 very soon after we castle. Ding plays an ambitious b5. Is he tanking? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's 8.5 minutes there. So look, we're at move 12. The guy's got 53 minutes left. Okay, not good. Not good. No chess coach would want this from their student. Castles. Castles, and now knight c3. Okay. Here black can play a variety of moves. b4, a6. All of these moves seem plausible for black. Black plays rook b8. And now we get knight h5. And the intention is to say, well, when I play queen g4 next, I'm going to have a little bit of play against your king. So Ding says, you know what, though? I'm going to play f5 and completely diffuse that. Now, I think that the intuition on knight h5 was, well, if you play f5, I can take, and after you recapture, at the minimum, I'm going to get your bishop. However, once we get here, it's a little bit harder for white to convince themselves that they got something after knight f6. It seems really that they don't got anything after knight f6. So now we're going to get into a period where Gukesh takes. This is the same pattern we see in so many of these games. Ding does a big tank, and then Gukesh starts to tank, and then basically catches up to Ding in time pressure. The move is very interesting, queen f3. Now, at this point, we were having a little bit of a debate about who was better and why. And by the way, I should have been adjusting my little Dojo eval bar. Once he played knight ce2, I was going to take that down to 0. After knight ce2, which I did not like, this thing over here, knight ge2, I was even saying black was better. And I think actually maybe b5 was a move, maybe we might regret it a little bit, maybe unnecessary. So maybe that goes back to round 0. But it was still very interesting, and I still believed in black's position in all of this. f5. Snip, snop, and now a very creative move from Gukesh. Gukesh, we want to say, played several creative moves here in this match, and ones where he tanked. And queen f3 has a lot of creativity to it. Touching c6 and also introducing ideas of queen g3. Something that he might have wanted to do with queen g4, looks like we can take bishop takes d4. Looks like we can do it. So that's kind of one of the problems there. And the rook on b8, we're going to see that is one of the key tactical weaknesses for Ding in this position. Ding played his next move quick. Now, Ding is very good at playing quick moves. And queen e8 seemed at the surface, I was like, I think that's a good move, Ding. I think that's good. So, boom, boom, boom. And now a very interesting position. We all predicted now that queen e2, which David didn't like, by the way. He was like, oh, that's a passive move. I'm going to change my eval. But it's pretty simple in that really we're going to want to play f3 pretty soon. And f3 will block the diagonal and give our bishop on e3 some squares. Notice, too, with this transformation in the position, the bishop on e3 has become a lot more dynamic, right? Got a lot more dynamic stuff going on. Now, I felt black should play knight e7 here. We were debating who was better and why, but it just seems like a fine position for black, roughly equal. Queen g6 was played, and maybe this is an inaccuracy. So we're going to see that the game starts turning a little bit, but for right now, we're going to say black should be basically fine. f3, rook f8, well-intentioned. f3, by the way, very simple move. Put your pawns in the opposite color of your bishop. Line it up to be a breaker of the diagonal if bishop b7 comes, and prepare a later knight e4. So rook ad1, this was a nice building move. And in hindsight, we felt that black could have held equality with a move like bishop d7. Let's say knight e4, rook b d8. However, black plays let's call it the natural move, knight e7. Now, earlier you heard me say I want to play knight e7. A dream for black could be to say, put the bishop on d5 and the knight on f5. That would be a cool setup for black. Now, Gukesh is going to put out a bunch of moves here, which are great. But before we do that, I'm going to go to the time graph. Boom. Oh, wait, put up the time graph, Bobs. There it is. Look at that time graph, my friends. Look at that steep decline from both black and white. Oh, my word. And, we're going to get a really nice series of moves here from Gukesh. Let's go back. Bishop f4, exclam. exclam move. And one of the things that all GMs love is whenever you can get some kind of rook fork like this with the queen. It's very rare. So to get it is just a real special thing. Ding was definitely taken by surprise with this move. He did not like it. There was some facial grimaces because all of a sudden there's real problems in the black position. Rook b6 was played. Now another nice move from Gukesh. Boom, bishop c7. The problem now is very important to say, we are persecuting the bishop on c8. Persecuting it. Because now if rook b7, you're in the way. Rook c6, you'll also be in the way. And the other question is on rook c6, I think white could have taken this thing. It looks like it should be illegal, but on bishop a6, bishop d6, it looks like white is doing fine. So, little time pressure here. Both of these guys' coaches are like, you guys, please move a little faster in the opening so that when we get to these positions, we can think about it some, okay? So, rook b7, bishop d6, good move. Rook e8, and another nice move, bishop takes e7. Very good chess in this series of moves because we're saying now the bishop on c8 is a little slow in achieving some kind of exit from the position. And this is the bane of the French, is if that bishop can become bad. And from the very beginning where we had the pawn structure shift with d takes c4, black has been saying to themselves, oh, I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out. But you see, it's a question of momentitos, and maybe he's not going to get out. Now a very nice move, queen e5. So this whole series of moves from Gukesh has been amazing, right? Truly an amazing series of moves. We're threatening knight takes b5. And our intention is to say, if you want to go try to trade queens with queen f5, I'll play knight e4 and ask you, do you really want to trade it? Because if you do, you're going to open up my d line, right? So any kind of queen trade runs into this. Furthermore, maybe on queen f5, this is going to be we're going to play knight e4. David was talking some garbage about knight b5, but just plays rook takes b5. Okay, so a6, calm move. And now here's the move that I think Gukesh is going to regret. And in my head, this is a move which shows he's still a young player, immature, if you like. Now, that doesn't mean he's a terrible player or anything like that. It just means the kid's 18 years old. And this is the kind of move where I feel when he's a little older, he wouldn't do this move, okay? He plays the move d5. Now, we thought this was horrendous. It actually carries more poison than we initially supposed, okay? But it's clear that if white plays the move either knight e4 or rook fe1, we're going to have big pressure. I personally think knight e4 is the right move. You go put the knight on d6 and you ask him, what? What do you want, son? Right? It looks very hard to deal with. Okay, so also knight c5, depending on where black goes, could also be a thing. All right, d5 is played. It made us scream. It made us scream. So here we go. E takes, queen takes. Again, we can talk about it as immature because you're just letting the bishop out. And it seems like most of black's problems are solved. However, it turns out to be really complicated. All right, so black has a lot of different moves here. Bishop e6, queen e6. There might even, I think there might even be king f8. You know, so there's all kinds of moves. Is it possible to really calculate those out? Hard to say, right? Hard to say. All right, we got queen e6, queen c5. Now, it turns out that this is a little bit hard of a question of how to deal with the position. And black plays rook e8. These people do not have a lot of time on their clocks. Should they have moved faster earlier? Yes, they should have. One nice thing about not doing this with the computer is I'm certain that the computer's going to be bouncing all over the place and saying each of these moves is an inaccuracy, okay? But it's important to see it from the human standpoint. And if you want to believe in Gukesh's D5 move, you could say, okay, there is grief being caused to black, and especially in time pressure, it's not super easy to figure it out. Now, in this position, we were calculating rook fe1. Looks interesting. Knight e4. Looks very powerful. I think that might be the best move. And rook d6, just intending to take on a6. All of those moves looked totally interesting for white. White then, though, Gukesh plays a very spicy move, rook de1. And the intention, as far as we could tell, is first we're going to claim that taking the rook on e1 is not going to make it for you because our pieces are so active. Okay, great. And then also on queen f7, knight e4, if the rook were here, black could have chances to hold everything together with rook over. But now on rook over, oh no, this rook e1 doesn't come with check. Oh no. So now, my friends, ding. He shows what's going on. The man can play very good defensive chess, finding correct moves, definitely a calculator. We thought he was in a bit of trouble here. He finds rook f8, getting out of the way and having a line on all of these moves. So if knight d6, rook c7. And one nice thing about rook f8 is you're covering the f7 square again, so any kind of queen d5 thing isn't that impressive. Queen e5, queen f6, good move. There was a half a second where we were like, oh, this is a blunder because of queen d5, king h8, knight e8. However, not true. Check to the miserable king. So that's a variation that Ding has to see before playing queen f6. Queen d5 does happen, king h8, rook e5, and now rook e7, very nice move. We're going to say that black is now out of the woods. Boom, boom, boom. h6, simple chess. Put your pawns in the opposite color of your bishop. Queen c5, bishop d7, knight e4, queen f4, very nice. And from a distance, we felt, oh, white should have some chances at being better here because with the extra pawn in front of the king, we should be able to, say that we can create an attack on the black king and that we are not too worried yet about our pawns. However, queen f4 makes it real difficult. Now, my friends, oh my gosh, really interesting move now from Gukesh. Normal people would play queen d4 here, especially in time pressure. Gukesh comes up with rook e7. Dang. And that's spicy because you are allowing queen c1. Maybe this was a mistake, but the idea as we understood it was queen c1, king f2, check to the miserable king. Now, it's not just a pawn, it's a big pawn because now my c pawn's passed. King g3, oh my lord. And, on rook d8, there's rook d7, queen c8. So rook d8's out, right? Jeez, Melise. Yeah, so this is a little bit scary. However, what did we discover? We discovered that, okay, let's get this nailed down. That on bishop f5, it looks at a first glance that rook e5 wins the game. However, rook c8 more than holds. So maybe Ding could have gone for it here. And rook e7 is one of these many moves where Gukesh is like, I want to play on and I'm willing to risk it. Makes this match a lot, it makes it exciting because you never know. He's always going to keep playing. Maybe, though, this was poor from Gukesh, though. Maybe this was poor because it looks like bishop f5, that white doesn't have any real play for their pawn. Again, no computers over here. Bishop f5, though, is a simple move to hold the balance. Queen d4, and we thought for half a second, like, oh, because rook g8 looks passive, we thought, oh, maybe white has something. However, Dojo eval bar all the way down. I should say, by the way, that before this d5 move over here, we were at about I would say 0.8 or 9 on the move with knight e4. Now, though, after d5, it goes all the way down, and so here we are. I'll go back just to make sure we get it right. Boom, boom, boom. Queen f4, rook e7, the gamble, bishop f5, rook g8, h3, snip, or no snip yet. It's now a snip, rook e4, and now a kind of classy move just to end the game here. c3. If queen c3, we play queen takes, pawn takes, rook c8, and we're saying that's completely drawn. And it's true. Maybe I'll show the variation. Bop, 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 bop. If you play rook e3, I'll play rook c4, a4. And if you go in, I can go here, here, and force an exchange of these pawns, in which case it is simply going to be a draw. So, b takes c3. Gukesh. He don't play. He wants to keep playing. Queen a3. King g3. Queen b3. Okay, rook e7, a5, rook b7. And Gukesh's claim is he's going to win a pawn. Queen c4, good move. If you take, it's important to stress, rook c7 is a mistake because of rook a8. And if you play rook a7, I can play either rook d8 or b8 to b3, and I am completely fine. So queen e5. Queen c6, I thought b4 was a little cleaner, but okay, queen c6, and now queen b5, queen c3, rook a7. Yes, it's true that we are going to lose a pawn, but look at that, queen b4, very nice move. Queen takes, pawn takes, rook b7, and I'm going to play this out quickly. This is a drawn position. If there were 4 versus 3, that's generally thought to be a draw, but we sometimes call that an advantage to white. This is absolutely nothing. But Gukesh is a fighter. He's going to continue on. And so there it is, finally a draw. So fantastic game. And I think what we have to say now is Ding is the favorite. He's got white. And we're going to say also that Gukesh is a little bit of an unknown quantity when it comes to rapids, right? Also, I think its experience there especially is going to count because Ding has been through this rigmarole here before in the rapids. So all of a sudden, the favorite, Gukesh, is definitely on his back heels. We got tomorrow, final classical game. If that is a draw, we are going to tie breaks. So I'll see you guys early tomorrow morning.